Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alli and I welcome you back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome and welcome again. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. And to my old family members, my Alli fam, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back again, guys. Thank you so very much as always for your love and your support. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so very much. So this is another reaction video. Apostle Femi Lazarus's interview, Coach D. Women are going through so much. I know a few men too are going through so much, but majority of women are going through so much. And I also think it's those ones that we least expect that are going through stuff are the ones that we realize are going through it. And when they speak, eventually when they speak out and speak up, that's when we realize things they happen now. So this Coach D, right, stated that she enjoyed her courtship more than her 33 years of marriage. How sad. How can someone endure 33 years of marriage instead of enjoying it? She also is a former pastor's wife who said there are days that she thought she would die. She would die before she even gets a chance to tell her story. But thank God for keeping her. And not just keeping her, but keeping her sanity. And thank God that she was able to leave that abusive marriage. But she said prior to all this, right, someone prayed for her and told her that the person that prayed for her, that she won't be murdered on the altar of ministry. There's healing on the other side of trauma, but that's only if you survive and you are alive to go through that healing process. This is a woman that was from a Muslim background but married her husband as a believer because she had a divine encounter that converted her even prior to marriage. But such, women, right? Like me, I love love, right? But most women, we love with all our hearts, every fiber in our being, everything. When we say we love, right? But some of us are also blinded by this love. Love is blind, but marriage is an eye-opener, correct? Yeah. So prior to the marriage, he told her to go and study Proverbs 31. Told her to go and study Proverbs 31. But at that time, and the thing is, I study Proverbs 31. I might read it, get different meaning from you that is telling me to go and study it. So you can't tell me to study Proverbs 31 and not tell me out of that Bible passage, what are you expecting from me? And let me also give you a chapter of the Bible and tell you, believers, okay, and tell you also what I expect from you from that Bible passage. God is our Father now, and we're following His word. So let's exchange Bible passages and say, okay, in that marriage, this is what I expect from you. Please study it and let's book club now. But she didn't know that what he was looking for in the Proverbs 31 Bible passage is not just a wife or a woman that does all those things, but he was actually looking for a slave wife. Add wife more a slave, yeah. Because If you say someone is a wife, you don't assume that person is also a slave. So not a slave wife, but a slave, period. And that's why I say there must be clarity in communication. There has to be. While dating, during courtship, you can't tell me, read this Bible passage, and don't tell me, in the Bible passage, the pointers that I want you to draw out of that, each verse is this and the other, because you know the picture of what you want from her. You know the picture of what you read in Proverbs 31, and you know the picture of what you in your mind you've drawn, but she doesn't know the picture. She hasn't seen it. She's not the mind reader. There are times that I would have read a Bible passage, right, and it meant something different to me. During Bible study, we might be studying that part of the Bible, and there will be another eye-opening thing brought out of it. There will be an aha brought out of that lesson. But some of the red flags that she said she didn't realize, well, maybe, hindsight is always 20/20 anyway. Some of the red flags that she said she was blinded. Women, when you're in love, that ear, they don't cut them or mots. He said some of the red flags that he had no friends, no accountability partner, no friends. Go send Ali for US. Uncle Kiniko, sharing none. So if he does anything wrong, it's just you and him. And what saddens me is, about these pastors, right? To the outside world, the picture they paint, jeez, is that they're so humble, they're so giving. Look, if you haven't watched the video that I posted, I'll leave a link of about that woman's story as well. That's another pastor's wife. They're always humble, God-fear to the outside world. Humble, giving. Yet the wife at the home is not even enjoying all that giving. Epitome of a perfect gentleman. Total package to the outside world. Total package. And to my some members of the congregation, God, if only my daughter can marry somebody like Pastor. No, okay. But inside the four corners of that home, another species, totally different. She said he was a monster to her, and not just her, as well as their children. Yoruba proverb has already said it. A wife that we don't love, even the children that she bears, really will those children enjoy the love from the father. Very sad. She said to others, though, their marriage was a point of contact. Marriage, oh my God. Mufi marriage, Pastor Papa and Pastor Mrs. Papa Mufi Toro. If only you knew what Pastor Mrs. was going through in the house. Other couples look up to them as examples. What happened to the previous recording? So like I was saying, right, Coach D, to the outside world, their marriage was a perfect. Little did people on the outside know what this woman was enduring. And after marriage, he didn't even stand up for her. He said prior to the wedding, right, they had agreed that they weren't going to dance to worldly music, but her mother-in-law, the groom's mom, had hired a live band. And when she brought it up on the day of the wedding, we agreed to not having worldly music. It was like, you know what, just kind of brushed it off. And at that point, there was nothing she could do. They also had agreed prior to the wedding, right, that, you know how the Allis, the older wives and the family, welcome the new bride into the family by pouring water on her feet before she comes inside. They had agreed that, we're not going to do this. But lo and behold, on the day of the wedding, báwọn ìyáálé ṣe gbé omi àti kìnní jáde, that they want to pour water on her, and she was like, where's my husband? And he was nowhere to be found. And when they eventually found him, and she said, but we agreed on, you know what, just let them, we'll just pray, we'll speak in tongues, we'll pray against whatever. But if you both have agreed on something prior to the wedding, stand up for her. Especially if she's the one that's her feet. And she's already telling you that she doesn't want it. And you both agreed before the wedding that it's not going to happen. So why all of a sudden you can't stand up for her? This is the day of the wedding, no? The real ordeal, as if that wasn't enough, the real ordeal now started 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Less than a month after the wedding. 3 weeks after the wedding. And it started with name calling, name bashing from the husband. And the name calling and name bashing included his mother-in-law. Yeah. But he left, came back and apologized to her. All these are like narcissist behaviors. Honestly. Left, came back, apologized to her, and you would think that would be the end of it, right? Since barely 3 weeks, let's assume learning period. But come to think about it, this is the same person that told her prior to the wedding that, you know what, in Proverbs 31, no, that is the kind of woman I want you to be. Just succumb to everything and anything. Let me just dump anything and whatever at you. And it should be fine. When she needed you to stand up for her, you were nowhere to be found. But the pattern didn't stop. After that apology, the name calling continued. And she said his favorite name calling for her is Ashewo. I beg. Ìyàwó àṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀gbé, Ashewo. Mbiti darling sugar, new word. Darling sugar, you are the honey in my tea, like most people do now. Hey babe. None of that, Ashewo. Of all names, if only after 3 weeks, you're already calling her Ashewo, abusing her, mentally abusing her, emotionally abusing her. And she said even after the birth of their children, the name calling did not stop. But if she's really an Ashewo, why are you laying beside her, impregnating her, and making her bear children for you? I don't understand. And the name calling of Ashewo consistently continued to the point that the children got older and had to ask her, Mommy, what is the meaning of Ashewo that Daddy usually calls you? Lobato. They asked her the meaning of Ashewo, and she told them point blank, prostitute. She's not going to lie to her children that the meaning of Ashewo is prostitute. And they were asking her, but why does he call you prostitute? Explanation here is what she couldn't give. But what she thinks is, and the mother had to explain to them that, well, because he wasn't the one that disvirgined her. But Egbami, she didn't lie to you before the marriage that she was a virgin, and that, so to now find out that on the day of the wedding, we lay white bed sheet and there's no blood. She didn't lie to you. You knew before you got married to her that she wasn't a virgin. So if that had been a problem, you should have let her go or told her that I'm really not feeling the fact that you're not a virgin, and let her decide, or both of you decide to walk away from the relationship. Don't use that as the pawn on her for something that you knew before you wedded her. Yet you took her to the altar and you married. But I beg, what she should have asked him is, brother, are you too a virgin? Did I meet you at home? Are you a virgin? Because if she too did not meet you at home, that means you two male Ashewo. For real. But with all the name calling, with all the emotional abuse, unfortunately, she couldn't even go back home to tell her parents what she was enduring within a few weeks of the wedding. She couldn't go back home to tell them. Because why? Because her parents already warned her. They already warned her not to go into the relationship with him. And you know how some of our parents that are religious would say, because she's from a Muslim background, like I said, and they didn't want it. Elesin Kejini. And because he's Elesin Keji, they don't agree with the relationship. Maybe they had prayed about it and they felt it would not be a good match on the long run. And that's why she couldn't go back to them. Because Yoruba proverb, Oni inse agbalagbari while sitting down. If a child climbs a 10-story building, might not be able to see what that elder is saying. Fast forward to 10 years into the marriage. He will threaten her with divorce and narcissistic behavior, wants control over her and power, secluded her from friends, okay. He suspected her continuously of sleeping with men. Not man, no, men. Like I said, before the marriage, talk about it. I don't want to work. If she agrees with it, you're not going to put a ring on it. And then after that, now say, oh, you know what? I now decide as the husband of the house, you cannot work anymore. You're going to be a stay-at-home wife before the children come to become a stay-at-home mom. Let her agree to it. If she doesn't agree to it, you take a walk or she takes a walk. So when they got married, he now told her, well, you're going to have to stay at home. But this wise woman had side hustles that she did from the home. Because all of a sudden, he lost his job. And she had to step in and become the breadwinner. This God, the way he turns things around, it's unbelievable. This woman became a baker, a butcher, and a breadwinner. All the 3 B's, baker, butcher, breadwinner. Even with the roles changing, and she becoming the breadwinner, she still received insults from him. Yet, to the world, they were a perfect couple. Little did the people know, they're looking from the inside out. They now relocated to America from Nigeria. And after they relocated, you would think the laws of the land, the abuse continued. She said, while driving to, I think it was one midweek service, and I think they were discussing, and all of a sudden, he slapped her while driving. This woman couldn't take it anymore. She jumped out of the vehicle. The way she opened the door to jump out, she was still belted in. So she struggled with that, and the winter coat was hung in between the jacket. So she just rolled out without the jacket, and it was in the middle of winter. And guess what? Pastor, can we even call him a pastor, safe? Can we call the man drove off, the husband? Because I can't call him a pastor. A pastor is someone that is Christ-like. Left the woman in the cold and drove off to church. At the Dory pulpit. Thus says the Lord. The Lord is preaching love to people. Meanwhile, you left your own wife on the highway and byways, stranded in the cold without a jacket. This woman had to call her children to come pick her up. She could have suffered injuries as she jumped out of the moving vehicle. She could have suffered injuries. She could have had head concussion. She could have suffered frostbite because it was in the middle of winter without a jacket. What if her phone was in the vehicle and she had no way of reaching her children? This woman started having memory loss and suffered other health issues. Married to a pastor. So she eventually couldn't take it anymore and she left the marriage. He called the sister-in-law to report the issue to her. But her sister told her to go back home, which she did. Again, in 2020, she tried to leave, and the fathers in the Lord, other pastors in the church, spoke to her and told her to go back. She said at one point, her BP, her blood pressure, was 200/150. She had stroke, and she said prior to the marriage, she didn't see any red flags, aside from the fact that, and this was hindsight, the fact that he didn't have friends. She said the abuse affected her, but majorly affected her children, because they all had to go through therapy, and they were asking her in the therapy sessions, why did she stay? The children were asking her, oh, I want to stay because of my children. Oh, yes, I want to stay because... Shuke. Maybe it's because you're alive that you're staying because of the children. If you die, he will remarry. Because that's when they will say, oh, no, but you cannot let pastor be single forever. The pastor has to have a wife next to him. Otherwise, that's when they start quoting Orishirishi. And to top it off, the pastor was even cheating on her, which she found out. Meanwhile, narcissistic behavior secluded her from her parents, her siblings. That's why 3 weeks into the marriage, he started cursing them. He will abuse her and abuse her siblings, abuse the parents. Make sure she didn't have friends because friendless. So don't go many friends. Why would you have friends that would teach you things and open your eyes to things that he doesn't want you to see or know? How would you have friends that would make him lose control over you? And he had so much control on her, accused her severally, used information from her as weapon of mass destruction against her. But she couldn't stand up for herself. And that's one of the joys of narcissists. They're not accountable to anyone. None. They make sure they cut off whatever support system that you have. It's cut off. Totally cut off. They make sure the abuse is verbally, most of the time emotionally, sometimes physical, most times too financial, because they don't want you working outside, working and making your own money. They want you to be dependent on them solely. How dare you make your own money? And it's not that, there was the previous video that I did on this, on pastors' wives. That woman, as much as people were praising the pastor on the outside, there are times she was menstruating and did not have money to buy pads. Meanwhile, on the outside, people are going, oh, he's a philanthropist. Oh, he's a giver. Feminine pad, the woman could not afford. Cheating, yet to be on the altar, preaching, bastardizing those that are cheaters, and yet he's doing worse, which is the case of do what I say, but not what I do. But I also think, passing it on to the next generation, right? I think it's the way some boy children are raised. Because mothers focus mainly on... Some mothers, let me put it that way, some mothers focus mainly on the girl children. Grooming her to be a good wife, you have to clean the house, have to take care of the children, take care of her husband, to cook, all that. But boy child, someone's going to marry the boy child. So they also deserve the grooming that the girl child children are getting. But be it Christian, be it Muslim, you cannot say you love your creator, God, Allah, and not love who he created in his own image and his likeness. Ko possible. It's impossible. What kind of love is that? Scars are real, but not visible. There's healing on the other side of trauma. Sometimes I blame mothers who stay in these relationships. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Because what are we teaching our children? The boy child grows up in this kind of abusive relationship and thinks, well, my dad did it to my mom, but she stayed. And in the future, when he gets married and he starts doing it, because sometimes it's a pattern. And he gets married, he'll do the same thing to his wife and expect the wife to stay. Meanwhile, the female child will grow up, get married, and maybe have a narcissist as a husband, abusing her emotionally, abusing her verbally, financially, physically. And she'll be like, well, but my mom endured all this with my dad. If my mom can stay, I should be able to stay. Why? These are not things we should be teaching our children. And a woman that's going through abuse, most especially physical, because all this emotional abuse, verbal abuse, they also lead to depression. That some women commit suicide. But my thing is, if it's not working, don't force it. Live with your bags and your sanity, not be carried out in a body bag. There are so many narcissists that hide under religion. Oh, he's pastor. Oh, pastor. He's apostle. Oh, apostle. He's reverend. Oh, yeah, reverend. Not knowing between the four walls of their homes. Go and ask the immediate family what their experience is. Sometimes people think they are forced into remaining in these marriages. And that's because in some churches, right, or some places of worship, I don't know about in the mosque. I don't know if, well, I don't think it would happen in the mosque because they allow multiple wives. But in churches, some people are afraid of divorce, of leaving a marriage, because once they're divorced, some positions that they should get, they're not giving to them because it's divorced. She's divorced. But that person might be a useful instrument in the vineyard. But because of the stigma of divorce, of single parenthood, no, it's not worthy of that position or that title. Says who? Narcissists, right, make you question yourself, your sanity, yet your health will deteriorate right before you. Some women are walking corpses, dead yet alive. Well, barely. Someone said in one of the comments that I read that I wonder how many pastors' wives are going through this. But my question is, if pastors' wives are going through this, how many members' wives are going through this? How many members' wives are going through hell in the hands of other leaders in Christendom? To top it off, right? How many of these women, these pastors' wives, or women going through this, will advise others to stay and hang in there? Because you really don't know what they are going through. So they just advise you, yeah, please just hang in there. Despite the fact that you don't know what they're experiencing. My prayer is that the Lord will continually guide our children to marry right, not to be unequally yoked. I'm not saying necessarily unbelievers now, but just be unequally yoked with wolves in sheep's clothing. That you just find out after I do that a more big mistake. May that not be the portion of our children. They will marry right, the bone to the bone of their bone and the flesh of the flesh that the Lord has ordained them to be with. They will enjoy their marriages, not endure it, and they will fulfill God's purpose. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for watching. Leave your comments down below. Let's talk about this. Very much. If you've not subscribed to this channel yet to become a part of this great family of ours, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. I leave you with love, peace, and joy always. Bye.